Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. It is time-wise, as I'm recording this, 8:22 a.m. Pacific time. And I do apologize if I sound a little blah. I just woke up a little bit ago. It is 55 degrees outside under these mostly cloudy skies. It's supposed to rain, and supposedly, according to the weather, this might be the last day we're in the 70s for a while because it looks like it's going to head to the mid to low 60s starting tomorrow. But anyway, with that said, before we get started, I'd like to ask you guys to do me a solid favor, and that's like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. Also, guys, you can find me at all your favorite audio and video podcast affiliates that you listen to your podcast on. Whether it's iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and to an extent SiriusXM. Anywhere there's a podcast, you will find mine there as well. You can also find me at Rumble, VENMO, Odyssey, and Dailymotion. Those are other video outlets that I have content on. You can find me on those platforms if you would like. Some of the content is a little, the same, if not a little different, due to standards that YouTube has. Also, guys, I have a Patreon if you want to check that out and support me there. I also have a DeviantArt at BVW1979, DeviantArt.com, that is, BVW1979. I also have an InkBunny account at inkbunny.net at BWRosas. You can also follow me through TikTok, Twitter, aka X.com, and Blue Sky. Also, guys, I have a couple of stores. I have a Fourth Wall store and a Teespring store. Links to the Fourth Wall at the top. Teespring links are at the bottom. Also, guys, I have a Venmo and a Cash App. If you'd like to help donate there, it'd be greatly appreciated if you would like. And also, guys, during this premiere, you can chime in the live chat if you would like your thoughts, as well as Super Chats will be open in during the video premiere in the live chat if you want to help donate through there as well. And as well, on both occasions, video premiere and afterwards, comments will be welcome. And if you don't get in here in time for the video premiere, then of course, super thanks, will be open as well if you want to donate that way. That's that little heart with a dollar sign. But with that said, let's get on to the topic at hand. And as we all know, it was pretty much advertised since Monday, if not since this weekend, that today, this morning, at 6 a.m. Pacific time here on the West Coast, Nintendo of America was going to have a special Nintendo Direct, and this Nintendo Direct was going to focus on the first teaser trailer, if you will, for the new Mario Brothers movie, which is dubbed the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It serves as a sequel to the first one, and and just like I did with the Michael reaction, the Michael thoughts and everything for that teaser trailer, I'm not going to show any content here, any trailer footage, at the bottom right hand, or as I'm talking, you're not going to see any trailer footage and anything like that, because I don't want to take a chance with Universal and Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to take a chance with them. So I'm just going to basically give it to you through screenshots, which is the more safer option than just showing the footage, because let's be honest, some might be able to get away with it, some may not, but we'll see. But I'd rather not risk anything, and I'm sure you understand that. But it's short and to the point. It's very short and to the point. We start out, of course, with Bowser. The way they make it look like at first is he's, somehow escaped and in his castle and he's painting something, he's doing something. But then, as soon as he's done finishing, the painting, and it looks like it's and basically it's a painting of what looks like to be Mario's face and everything. All of a sudden we see Luigi's face just show up in the windows, and then that's when you kind of get the idea that, yeah, Bowser is still small, because at the end of the first film, he lost. Not only did he lose the star, the star and everything, they gave him all that power, but it caused them to shrink down to the point that, yeah, pretty much Mario, Luigi, and Peach and Toad have kept him pretty much, prisoner in his own little castle within Princess Peach's castle. And, basically what happens is that he goes, out of the, he finishes up, he kind of finishes up his painting, or he finishes up another painting. And what he does after finishing up that other painting is he goes out, outside. He goes to the top of the castle. He goes, to confront Mario and Luigi, and he basically presents them with a picture of Peach. But it's not just a picture of Peach; it's a picture of him and Peach. So obviously he's still obsessed with her. He's still obsessed with being with her and being married to her and all that. So so they're still continuing that situation, and of course, excuse me, and of course, Mario and Luigi kind of don't take this seriously, kind of get a kind of get a crack out of it, laugh out of it, which of course angers Bowser, but then he kind of like steps it back, like whoops, because he's realizing, whoa, I'm small here and everything. That's the old me, coming out. I'm just gonna go back to my castle and get my 8 hours, get my 8 hours of sleep and all that. So he basically retreats back into the castle because, again, even though he still is obsessed with Peach and obviously he still hates the Marios, Mario and Luigi, that is, even though he still hates them, he kind of realizes, yeah, right now is not the time to try to get even with them because, of the fact that he's small, and, small and, powerless, so he's got to bide his time. And, well, let's just say his time is going to pay off, and I'll get to that in a moment. But basically after this, we transition to a scene where Mario and Peach are looking into the night sky, and we see all these falling stars. And then we see, after that, Peach along with Toad flying through the sky, just like you would in Mario Galaxy. And she's using, I guess you could say, the Warp Star or whatever it is. That kind of gives you that boost to get from one area to another real quickly. So we see them doing that. And honestly, the animation looks tremendous. In fact, if you were to compare the two, the animation looks slightly better to an extent. Not by much, but it definitely feels like there's a bit of a bigger budget, or financially a bigger budget for this animation, for the animation here than it was in the first film. But anyway, yeah, we see Peach and Toad flying through space, like I say, via warp ring and everything. Not warp ring, but warp star, and helping her out in that Pacific, in that area. And then we see. And then we see something coming towards the castle, and what we see coming towards the castle, and attaching itself to it, at least anchoring itself down, is a ship. And what we see, and who we see come from that ship, is actually Bowser Jr. And what I like about Bowser Jr. here, excuse me, is when they have him talk, they don't have him pull down his mask or anything, no. He'll probably do that in the movie because we know he does that in the game, so he's got to do that in the movie. But here, he kind of like keeps the mask on, and he's speaking through it. It's like the mouth on the mask, the one that he draws the smiley face on, or his smiley face on. The the mask, the mask mouth, moves when he's talking and everything. So that's kind of cool. But like I said, I'm pretty sure he'll be pulling it down later to just, speak like we would see him without the mask and all that. But yeah, I like that nice little detail there. And he's basically telling them, he's here to take his father back now. And then we kind of get like this little action montage and everything, with Mario, Luigi, with Peach kicking all kinds of butt. Peach kicks all kinds of, butt here, or ass, if you will. I think I can say that now. Let me check. Oh, yeah, I can say that now. I just wanted to make sure I had plenty of time. But yeah, after that, we see a montage sequences, action sequences with Mario, Luigi, Peach kicking all kinds of ass and everything, which is kind of cool and all that. But then we get towards the end, after we see the title for the film, we get towards the end, after, like I said, we see the title of the film, and we see this door open, and out, whose head pops out? Rosalina's. That's right, Rosalina's pops out, and you see this big machine. Because again, like I said, they show the title, and then they show this after title sequence, or this moment, to kind of say, oh wait, we're not done yet, and here's one more surprise, here's one more character, and obviously you knew she was going to be in this too because she's associated with Galaxy. So anyway, Rosalina at the end pops her head out, and basically she looks up, she sees this machine, and it doesn't look like a Bowser machine, but it has a very familiar look on it, facially, like with the eyes and like a bit of a nose. And this does kind of confirm, potentially, I'm not saying it's totally true, but it does feel like it's confirming that the other character that's going to be in it, although we didn't see him here, is going to be in this film along with the debut of Bowser Jr., and that's Wario. Now, again, we're not totally sure, but the way the machine is designed, it definitely gives off those vibes. But what happens here is that, it approaches Rosalina's castle, and it basically says, Princess Rosalina, you're going to come with me. And Rosalina just looks up, kind of does takes a little bit of a deep breath, and everything. Kind of like does a sigh, like, okay, and then basically summons her wand and literally just goes right at this machine and kicks its ass. And then you just see her after she does that, just stand with her, arms, kind of crossed, kind of like her arms folded across, her front, if you will, her arms, kind of across her front, if you would, everything. And then you see this big old explosion that occurs in the background, like, not, to her it's like, all the day's work. She's like, oh well, took care of that nuisance, or took care of that bug, and everything, So yeah, it was kind of cool seeing her do that, and that was about it. That was about it for the film, for the trailer, for the teaser trailer, and because that's what it was. I mean, if it was a real trailer, we'd see a lot more, but I think a lot of studios are realizing, hey, we can't be, or certain studios anyway, are realizing, hey, we can't show too much, because if we do, we're pretty much giving away a lot of the film. And what's ironic is this trailer and the Michael trailer both were distributed, by, if not in association, with by, okay, hold on, I'm getting a little tongue-tied, hold on guys, I told you it's early, hold on, sorry about that, like I said, it's early. But what's ironic about this trailer and the Michael trailer is both were distributed, one directly by Universal, under the Illumination Animation division, and the other one in association with Universal, along with Lionsgate, but yeah, I think a lot of studios, mostly it looks like Universal, have learned the lesson of, hey, don't give too much away, just give them a taste, of what to expect, and then when the time is right, release the full trailer. And what's ironic is both these films are coming out in April. Yeah, it's crazy. Both these films are coming out, I think, in April of next year, or at least spring of next year. I know that they're coming out in spring of next year. Maybe I gotta look at the date for Mario and all that. Hold on for a sec, guys. Hold on for a sec. Yeah, it's April. I had to confirm. I had to go double check, but yeah, it's April. So it's gonna be a big month next year in April for Universal, because you got the Michael movie, and then you got this movie, and again, it looks like they've learned their lesson. Hopefully, other studios have learned their lesson of don't show too much, just show what's needed. And like I said, they did what they did here. Looking at, rewatching it again just to make sure. I knew what the release month was. Anyway, well, not just the date, but the release month. Looking at it again, it looks really good. I mean, like I said, you got a montage of Peach kicking all kinds of ass. It looks like she's kind of like in some kind of cube area, and you got all the blacks, like those little black star guys or whatever they are from Super Mario 2. It looks like there's also some kind of ink that gets, utilized as well. That I guess, empowers, Bowser Jr. when he's coming to get his dad. So I don't know if that's going to play a factor and everything. I don't know, if that if that corrupts whoever gets touched by it or something. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if that if Peach gets affected by that stuff, because again, if it powers someone up like Bowser Jr. to do what he's doing and everything, you gotta wonder if that's gonna affect Peach and make her get corrupted temporarily. I don't think so. I don't think so, because if there's one thing we've always noticed about Bowser Jr. in the games, is he always likes to paint. So maybe that's just going to be a different take on his power. We'll see, because it feels like it's only attached to him, but we'll see what happens. And yeah, outside of that, looks really good. Like I said, they had a bit of a action montage after he showed up and said he was going to get his. Well, actually, it wasn't actually going back and watching it. It wasn't after he showed up, but it was like right around before and after. Before and after, basically, they had some action montages, with, like I said, Peach and Toad going into space, through the warp star, and even going into the underwater world and everything, because that was like the first planet they were heading towards. So you got like a nice little underwater world there and all that. So that's kind of cool. And then of course you had Mario and Luigi driving through a desert and everything, a desert world, which obviously is going to be one of the planets they visit, but also I think is a nod to the desert level in Super Mario 3, the NES game. So that's kind of nice and everything. And then, like I said, at the end, you have this machine. It looks like it looks very Wario based. Not saying it is, but it looks very Wario based. And the voice, you could say it sounds like Jack Black and it's Bowser, but it definitely doesn't feel like it's Bowser. It feels like it's more of somebody else, and it feels like it's a Wario. It sounds like a voice that could be more like a Wario, but I'm not. Like I said, it can't be 100% confirmed on that yet. But that again, that's the other villain name that's been tossed around. And like I said, the way they have Rosalina deal with it, she just basically just takes this deep sigh, like just like she takes it like this deep sigh and everything, like this like little deep breath, and she's like, and all of a sudden she just summons her wand, as I mentioned earlier, and just as soon as it tries to grab her, she just boom touches, just has her wand, touches the machine, and just bam, she just starts wrecking shop. She just like she's conducting and everything, and just blows the whole thing up, and then she just walks back to her castle and everything. Like I said, her hands folded, folded in front of her, like folded down in front of her and everything, and she's just looking like she opens up one eye, just looking at, looking to the side, like, all the day's work, no big deal, So I like that. I kind of like that little detail there, with her. But yeah, overall the trailer looks really good. At least the teaser trailer, as I like to call it, because again, it's not that long. It just gives you what you need. We won't get like the full extent of the whole, of what we're going to see. That's what I'm trying to say. We won't get like the full extent of what we're going to see. At least I would say until the Super Bowl. And that's when I think we'll get the full extent. I think at the Super Bowl, Universal is going to have like a big day for trailers. Universal, directly and by association, is going to have a big day, for trailers on Super Bowl Sunday in February. I feel it. It's not, because not only are they going to give us like the full Michael trailer, let's be honest, not only are they going to give us the full Michael trailer, they're going to give us the full trailer for this. That's a guarantee. So I think that's why they're putting out these little teasers right now, so that way, so that way it whets our appetite, especially, in time for Thanksgiving. It gets, us talking with our fellow family members and everything who are also fans of, Michael Jackson and the Mario Brothers and all that. It gets us talking and kind of wondering and speculating what else is going to be, shown in the movies, when they come out. Like I said, it whets our appetite. It whets our appetite for wanting more, And come Super Bowl Sunday, that's when we're going to get that, those first two big trailers, full-on trailers, if you will, for both films. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait for this. When it occurs. When it occurs. I cannot wait for this for when it occurs because I'll have my family there. We'll be watching, no matter what teams are in it. And, basically, these trailers are going to break the internet more so than I think anybody could expect. Universal's going to have a huge day ahead of them. A huge day ahead of them, come Super Bowl Sunday in February. That's a guarantee. They got a huge week already with Michael being the most viewed trailer, of all time, for a musical biopic or biopic period. They got the record there. They got the all-time record there. And now, they're pretty much going to probably get another record shattered here with the Mario Galaxy teaser trailer. But we'll see. We'll see what happens later on today. But I just wanted to come on here. Like I said, I am a little tired. I just woke up a little while ago. I'm drinking some coffee to wake up. That's why I sound the way I do. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here and give you my thoughts on this teaser trailer because again, that's what it is. That's what it is. And when you think about it, but let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. Also, guys, click on the link in the description to find my content elsewhere outside of YouTube, as well as to support me outside of YouTube as well. But guys, give me your thoughts. Love to hear what you have to say about this. And until next time, let me know. Until next time, let me know what your thoughts are. Like I said, are you looking forward to the full-on trailers? And do you believe those will come Super Bowl Sunday? Let me know. And until then, I am out. A bit of a cliff note here and all that, guys. So, as I was basically uploading the audio to my phone because that's where I have my Power Director app at that I use to create some of my videos and everything because I do have it on my computer, but right now my computer is kind of taking a long overdue rest, and everything. Not saying it's not broken, it's working. It's just that I want to keep it preserved for the time being. I want to let it kind of have its like you said, long overdue rest. But basically, I was watching the rest of the direct and everything to make sure I didn't miss anything. And, well, Rosalina, we did finally hear her talk. And basically there's this like little clip and everything of her telling a story to the Luma stars, all the colorful Luma stars about Peach, but the Luma stars, they want to hear about the Marios, about Mario and Luigi. And Rosalina is like, we talked about that already, and they're all wanting it. And she's like, okay. So you can obviously tell she's a very kind-hearted character, as she is known for being in the Mario Galaxy and the Mario franchise. But what's interesting is who they announced to voice her. Now, obviously, there's going to be more voice cast announcements in the future because there's going to be other characters. Like I said, apparently, I think Wario is going to potentially be in there. We just don't know if that's, whether or not that robot's powered by him or not. We don't know. But we did find out two voice actors that are going to be two actors anyway that's going to be voicing the characters. Rosalina, get this, is going to be voiced by Captain Marvel herself, Brie Larson. That's right, Brie Larson is going to be voicing Rosalina, and honestly, from what I heard, she does a pretty good job. She has that kind, gentle voice and everything that it's just suited perfectly for her. But we know that if you watch the Captain Marvel movies, she can get mad. She can bring that anger out, and I think we will see a little bit of that in this film when she confronts Bowser, and potentially Wario, if Wario is in it. Because again, I heard his name floating around as he's going to be in it. As one of the main antagonists or something like that. And again, that machine with the voice coming out of it does kind of give off those vibes. But yeah, Brie Larson, good choice. And then Bowser Jr., The way they did this is they were going to have the guy, the head of Nintendo America, I think, Illumination, the head of Illumination, kind of announce who the voice for Bowser was. Well, basically, what it is, they had Miyamoto-san, basically, kind of, throw it. Trying to find the right word to say, throw it to the head of Illumination, Chris. And Chris basically was going to make, Chris was making the announcements. He, like I said, he announced that Brie Larson was going to do Rosalina. But then, just as he's about to announce who Bowser Jr. is being voiced by, in comes by scooter Jack Black. And Jack Black basically makes the announcement that it's going to be not him, but Benny Safdie. Now, I don't know much about Benny Safdie. Apparently, he had something to do with the Smashing Machine movie that came out. So, yeah, Benny Safdie, who a lot of people say sounds like a younger Jack Black, is going to be voicing Bowser Jr. So those are the two primary big VA announcements for Rosalina and Bowser Jr. Since, again, they're the only ones we saw that are new to the movie portion of the Mario franchise being included in this movie. So they're the only ones that got announced. Now, obviously, there will be more to come. There will be more to come if Wario's in here, and of course Yoshi, he's going to be in here. So we know both of them are going to have voices. Who they are, we don't know yet, but I think the next time we get the trailer, which will be the full-on trailer on Super Bowl Sunday, I think that's when we'll find out exactly who's voicing Yoshi and potentially Wario, maybe even Waluigi, if you will, in the film. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I just wanted to come on here and make that little addition to the video. And until next time, guys, give me your thoughts, comment down below, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. And like I said in the previous video, before I found out more information, go to the links in the description to find my content elsewhere and to support me also outside of YouTube. But guys, until then, I am out. Take care. God bless.